And for these purposes, I decided to demonstrate for you today full mouth reconstruction case. And we all know that when we speak especially about the full mouth reconstruction, is that if we are failing to plan, then actually we are planning to fail. So for the full mouth reconstruction, the planning stage is one of the most important ones. So when we have a patient coming the first time to the office, of course, we take the patient to the photo video studio and we collect all the data. We discuss with the patient the future smile, how they want to have it, what they want to change, what the shape should look like. We go ahead in the studio with the photo video documentation. And of course, we do the facial scanning, we do the intraoral scanning, and we diagnose the functional side of the treatment. I mean, we check what is happening right now functionally in the patient's mouth. So after collecting all the data, we have a possibility to think about the planning of the treatment for the patient. So this patient over here, she had an ortho treatment in the different office. Maybe it's not the perfect one, ortho treatment, but it's something that I could work with as a prosthodontist. And she already had an implant when she came to my office, as you can see over here. So also we can see that she has the wear, she has the gaps between the teeth, she has the zeniths on a different level of the two centrals, and she also, you will see during the videos, she has lots of cracks, multiple cracks on the teeth, and of course she has a functional overload. And our goal is not just to create beautiful teeth for the patient, but also to restore the function. The CBCT, we collect all the data, and what we see, by the way, when we look at the intraoral pictures, is that the patient has multiple fillings. You can see from the left to the right, she has a lot of fillings, not a good quality. We can see the signs of caries on some of the teeth. And me as a prosthodontist, I don't like to do any prosto until the moment all the teeth are treated nicely. So I usually would tell this patient to go ahead and first treat their teeth, and our other specialists in the office, our specialist would change all of the old fillings to the new ones. And after that, actually I can start with the treatment planning. So step number one, we start with the professional hygiene. Then we go ahead with the caries treatment. I put the numbers of the teeth, and only afterwards we continue with the prosthetic treatment step by step, as you can see. So the CR, on the 3D design, the mock-up, we discuss with the patient and demonstrate, then we prep, and then we bond. So as I said previously, the step after hygiene is changing all of the old composites. My dentist in the office creates the new fresh buildups. So in that case, I know that everything is nice and stable. There is no caries, and I can proceed as a prosthodontist with the patient. So you can see on the left, this is how we started. On the right, this is how it looked after doing the fresh buildups, and the same thing with the lowers. So before on the left and after on the right. And we all know that when we see the signs of wear, mobility, migration, maybe some breakages or cracks, we understand that this bite is not comfortable, is not correct for the patient. And when we look around the world nowadays, there are different schools of function. Knotology, bioaesthetics, neuromuscular, pankidosing. I'm using pankidosing in my daily workflow because for me, it's actually repeatable. So that means that the goal for me as a prosthodontist is in the end of the treatment to create for a patient centric occlusion. So position the condyle into the CR and create maximum intercuspidation in the CR. Again, create a centric occlusion for the patient because I want to make for the patient the occlusal stability, match MIP and the CR differences, make the proper vertical dimension of occlusion, to control all the movements of the mandible functionally wise, and protect the case from the power function using the night guards. So let's see how nowadays we create a digital copy of a patient. First of all, when we speak about the full mouth reconstructions, we like to work with the hinge axis. So the hinge axis, we all know that's like an imaginary line around which the mandible may rotate. And we need this information in case when we are especially raising the vertical dimension of occlusion. And this is very, very important because we want to know 100% we have a rotation during raising vertical dimension of occlusion. So that's the part of the treatment when we start creating basically the digital avatar of a patient. And again, I want to repeat, this is something that we do nowadays for every single patient. This is a standard protocol of collecting data and then transferring data to the lab. So I would go ahead, I would calibrate my ray phase scanner, and then once it's ready, I go ahead, I invite the patient, and we start with the scanning of the face. Why I like using the ray phase, I've been using different scanners on the market. The ray phase works very fast. So basically having the multiple cameras, I can push a button and in half of a second, I have a digital copy of a patient. In the past, the problem was that with the scanner, we were supposed to move around the patient 10 seconds, 15 seconds, but it's not possible for a patient to have a natural smile for 10, 15 seconds. And this is why, again, the real smile, it's half a second. It's maximum a second. And this is why we need to have a device that basically can click all the cameras at the same time they work, they take a shot, and we create the virtual copy of our patient. Gives us plenty of benefits. For the treatment plan, we have so much data now, not just the pictures, but the realistic 3D copy of a patient. First, then the patient impact. When we show this to our patients, honestly, they are just shocked, because when they see that, there is their reproduction, the digital reproduction of them, digital copy of them, they've never seen something like this before. And then, of course, when we start working with the aesthetic details, ray phase software automatically gives us the landmarks of how actually the final result is going to look, and also where is the Frankfurt plane. We can see what is the sagittal position. We can see where actually are the condyles of the patient. So it improves the efficiency and productivity of the treatments for the patient. After we create the digital copy of the face with the ray phase, I can continue actually with doing the records, the functional records of the patient mandible movements. So then I'm using this device, Mojo. I connect the special crown on top of the head of the patient. I connect special butterfly on the lower jaw. And then we start recording the movements of the mandible for the patient. And in that case, I can recreate, again, not just a static copy of the patient, but a static and functional copy of the patient. Which movements I'm recording? Protrusive movement, lateral protrusion, we record the chewing process, open close, the CR position, and basically this is something that we could not do in the past with our patient, creating this complete digital copy, as you can see. So in the past, I didn't actually know if I have the CR for the patient. Now, when I combine all the data, I also have axiography, and I can clearly see if I have a rotation or translation during open-close movements. Then in the past, I was using the articulation paper just to find that supracontact. Now, with digital technology, I can actually see where exactly is the first contact in the software. So combining information from the ray phase and also with the Mojo, now we can create this, again, complete digital copy with the proper axes, with the proper position of the maxilla. And then having this digital patient, we can actually send it to the lab. In the past, in the lab, they had no even clue how any patient looked. They were just looking on the articulator. Nowadays, all the labs, they see actually the face of the patient. Our lab is always working not just with the functional side, but also the aesthetic side and integration of the new smile in the face of the patient. This is very important. Additionally, having this pure rotation movement, we can also raise the vertical dimension of occlusion with the full control. Why? Because we know 100% that the patient is in the CR, and when we raise the video, it's actually rotating, not translating. And after we send all this information, the facial scan, the intraoral scan, the functional movements to the lab, they start designing the final result that we can later on demonstrate to the patient. And I received 3 models: motivational model, 2-in-1 model, and the working model. Additionally, again, after the design is done, the CAD designer is checking everything with the face of the patient and checking all of the functional movements. Then all the information is printed. It can be either printed in the lab, or if you guys are in a different country and our lab does a design for you, we send you the STL files and you can go ahead and print all the information in your lab. So you in your clinic, sorry. So you have those models, then you can copy them and transfer a mock-up to the patient's mouth. So in this way, you can demonstrate to the patient how the future smile is going to look like, and you can basically sell the case to the patient and have, again, the reference. Patient understand how the final result is going to look like, then they accept the treatment, and then through the mock-up, you can right away start the preparation process. You prep the teeth, you scan the teeth, and you use the same silicone key to make the provisionals for the patient.